Yo, what's good guys? In today's video, I'm going to be breaking down Tyler the Creator's album Igor. I'm going to be showing you some insight into how the album was made, and then I'm going to be making 2 beats that would fit right into that album and showing you how you can do the same. So if you like the sound of that, then stick around and we're going to jump right into it. Igor is Tyler the Creator's 5th studio album, released back in 2019. With just 11 songs, the album is short, sweet, and a concise body of work pieced together solely by Tyler himself. A unique approach we rarely see, which gives the album an authentic Tyler feel, with plenty of random quirks and features that mirror his vibrant personality. Igor is more of an abstract art piece than an album, with Tyler building a whole visual world around the theme of Igor, from graphic design to fashion and of course music, representing a lot of Tyler's main passions. The blonde-haired individual Igor being another one of Tyler's characters like we've seen before on previous albums, with each new character seeming more and more out there and expressive than the last. The theme of Igor is split into 2 sections that translate into a perfect loop, taking us around and around the album. These 2 themes revolve around Tyler being vulnerable in his search for love and romance, with the ups and downs being perfectly orchestrated in these 2 contrasting sections. The first theme is centered around him falling in love, which is heard on songs such as Earthquake or A Boy Is a Gun. But on the other half of the album, we hear Tyler realizing that the relationship is over and it's time to move on, with songs such as I Don't Love You Anymore and What's Good. Like in real life, the transition between these 2 themes is gradual and slow, with each song pushing Tyler closer the other way, only to come full circle with the track Are We Still Friends? It's a clever story that carries the listener through this roller coaster of emotions. It helps give each lyric more depth and meaning in the context of the transition from infatuation to heartbreak. But we cannot look too deep into the meaning of these lyrics. As Tyler said himself, he is more concerned with how he sounds than what he's saying, with lyrics often just being a placeholder for a melody that he has come up with.
It's all based on the sound. It's all based on that sound. Everything makes
100%.
Before you get to any
sound is way more important than words. For me personally.
But how he sounds is absolutely amazing. But amazing doesn't always translate to perfect. In fact, I think it's the imperfections that give this album its magic, such as the general mix of the album sounding rough and authentic, with abrasive bass sounds and smooth chords working in harmony. Engineer Mike Bozzi had this to say about Tyler's general mixing and mastering process.
One of the terms Tyler used in describing how to master is like, I want this to be gross.
The contrast of the hard and the pretty sounds across all the songs on the album echoed the opposing themes on Igor, making it a true masterpiece.
I love the hard shit, pause, and I love the pretty shit. Now we just try to mix them together.
Let's break down the production techniques used by Tyler to create Igor, starting with music theory and the chords. To Tyler, chords are the most important thing with his music, ranking above vocals, mixing, melodies, and drums.
I'm gonna keep saying, I say chords so much, but that's the shit that makes me lit.
When we analyze the music theory on Igor, the best track to look at is Running Out of Time, as this track has the nicest varying progression on the album in my opinion. Often Tyler will build his progressions using major 7th chords, which is just a major chord with the last note before the root note on top. Of course you can move certain notes in these chords around to create inversions, and this will give you the jazzy and emotional sound of Tyler's chords at their most basic, giving you the foundation to add 9ths or 13ths, and move all these chords around to create your progression. To start my first beat, I'm going to be creating my own chord progression in the scale of F sharp major, which is the same key as Running Out of Time, my reference track. In order to help me come up with the right progression for the mood of the track, I'm using a bass sound to establish the root note my chords should follow. This sound is from Slate Digital synth Anna 2, which is available in their all access pass. I'll talk more about that a little later on. This bass sound is very similar to the bass we hear on the reference track, as it's an analog sound with harsh frequencies we can enhance with distortion. With our bass established, we can now quickly create that initial simple chord progression. I'm starting with a B major chord with my root note underneath for a fuller sounding chord, followed by a G sharp minor 7th chord and an A sharp minor chord. To give my bass sound even more presence, I'm using the Murder Melodies plugin from Slate Digital and turning up the spread wheel, which will increase the stereo image of my sound. To mirror running out of time and give our chords the same vintage feel, I'm using an instance of RC20 which will add these characteristics to the sound, such as noise, distortion and detune. I found this unique drum loop from Splice which really fits the Igor vibe, with weird percussion sounds thrown on top of some more traditional drum sounds, almost like a Pharrell, Neptune's, Kanye kind of vibe. Back to the chords, another thing to remember is that in order to have these different progressions, there needs to be a seamless transition to resolve it. As you can see, my last chord of this pattern is a G sharp minor chord with an E underneath. Although this note is technically out of scale, it still sounds good as our final chord, allowing us to transition to a switch up in the chords without it being too obvious. Another common sound to hear on Igor is these background synth sounds and effects that come around every so often. Tyler loves to incorporate these unique sounds that come around only a couple of times in the track.
Each song has those moments. Oh, that's my favorite part. And I'm like, yeah, it only comes once. But right after that is someone else's moment, favorite part. Like,
It's true.
I'm going to be using Arcade to spark some inspiration and give me an idea of the type of sound to go for. I found this high-pitched lead in the vintage synth library, which fits the vibe perfectly. Although this might not make the final beat, the sound gives me some new ideas I can try out. With my chords, I started by using a fairly plain piano sound to make it as easy as possible to hear the tones and come up with the right chords. I'm now switching to a more synthy sound and found this one inside the Anna 2 synth from Slate Digital, who are kindly sponsoring this episode of The Blueprint. Slate Digital are responsible for some of the best new and exciting plugins available today, all of which are available on their new convenient all access pass, giving you a huge variety of tools in an affordable subscription package. The shining gem of this all access pass is the Anna 2 synth, which you will see me using heavily while making these beats. Slate Digital are regularly releasing presets for this growing synthesizer, such as the new Circuit Breaker library, SD1, Cinematic 2, Detroit 2, and Vintage Analog 2, which all have their own unique use and style. The best part is you can try all of these plugins and sounds free for 30 days. So if you're looking to refresh your plugin library and make better music, click the link below. A massive thank you to Slate Digital for sponsoring today's video. Let's get back into it. As you may have already guessed, music theory is definitely not my strong point, and I had to get some help from a few talented producers. A big shout out to Nico for taking a look at the progression and making a few changes to fix it, such as these neo-soul style chords at the end of the progression. Dropping the sample rate of our chords is also going to add to the vintage sound we're going for, and you can do that with Edison. Another big part of Tyler's music is the melodies, which he will often use real-life vocalists to fill this area of the track, with mysterious background vocals all over this album from various high-profile artists.
Pitch it up or pitch it down or use it in a certain section. More of like an instrument, you know, than a vocal.
Since I don't have access to these kind of sounds, I'm going to go a bit more over the top with my synth melodies to make up for it. Here is this synth line I played on my keyboard and recorded over my chords. It's not perfect due to my less than average keyboard skills, but with a few tweaks it's exactly what this beat needs. For our switch up, I'm changing the chord sound from a synth to an electric piano, again with Anna 2. For these chords, I need them to be more calm and jazz sounding, so I'm using close jazz voicings which translate to major chords with extensions and inversions. It sounds much more complicated than it is. As you can see, we have two chords which repeat, C sharp major and B major, with the extensions being the notes underneath to give us the tone. The two notes on top of each other also create a sense of tension and transform a major chord from a usually pleasant sound to something a bit more dark. And we end on an E major chord followed by an F sharp major chord, which will resolve the progression, bringing us back to the original one in the other section. In our new section, we need that catchy melody to go along with our chords, and I found another amazing sound in Anna 2. This sound reminds me of Tyler's older material on Wolf or Goblin, and is a distinct sound from that era of Tyler. To make the lead sound a bit more interesting, I've added this low pass filter which I'm automating to turn on gradually at the end of the longer notes, to give it a much smoother and subtle exit when it's done playing.
Part of the genius that is Tyler, to me, is the way that elements within his tracks kind of creep up on you and slide in.
Pause, bro. Pause, bro.
Another cool effect I'm using on these background sounds to slip them in and out smoothly is this pitch automation. As the synth fades out, it's slowly getting pitched down, almost like a guitar lead, which the sound reminds me of. The final accents I'm adding are a few synth sounds I found that sit in the background, providing that wow moment Tyler loves to feature in his music. In the last chorus and verse section of the song, I wanted to again switch up the chords and make this section the best yet. A huge shout out to Cavan Dignam, who makes loads of content on Tyler's production. I'll leave a link to his channel below. He helped me come up with this new chord progression. I decided to introduce some drums in the final section and found this break which you can find inside my new drum kit, Forbidden Fruit. If you're looking for authentic, real drum sounds, then this kit is for you. It's got over 400 breaks, fills and one-shots to try out, so I'll leave a link down in the description. And if you want to get a little discount, use code Tyler. I also added another synth line to this final section with a sound from the amazing Anatu. This was also played live by me to give it a real instrument feel rather than a robotic click-in melody. Make sure you don't quantize these melodies too heavily, so that they retain their natural feel. One part of this melody that really stands out to me is when we borrow that C note and put it into the melodies. It's out of scale but sounds so cool and it fits perfectly. To end the song, I wanted to finish on just the chords, bringing it back to Tyler's favourite and most valued element in his music.
I'm gonna keep saying, I say chords so much, but that's the shit that makes me live. Oxygen, water, and chord progressions. It's fucking annoying.
I took the chords from the bridge and repitched them to fit the background vocals at the end. So that's our first beat done. I really hope you guys did enjoy that one. Now I'm going to be playing you the full song with Tyler's vocals on it. Let's get into it.
Running out of time, running out of time, running out of time, running out of time to make you love me. Running out of time, running out of time. To make you love me. See, always spin my head around. I've been looking for it, I've been running out of space to make you love me. To make you love me. Wade in your water, waves wash over me. I drift to the deep end. Don't say, don't say, don't say. Low tide. I found peace in drowning. Running out of time, running out of time, running out of time, running out of time. To make you love me. Living in pretend. Keep it 150 fuck on. all you.
To yourself, I know the real you. I look when they fall and they lose the costume. We need to chill, okay. Running from the targets in the back of the day, and now they working the R. Now we track the dog, acting a fool, acting the bar, back in the park. Yo, but I'm still running. Running out of, still running out of, still running out of time.
So that song is pretty fire. I had to pitch it up 2 semitones due to copyright issues, but I think it still sounds really good, and you guys get the idea with that one. It's based off of Running Out of Time, one of my favorite songs on the album, and yeah, I had a blast making that beat. Time to move on to the second beat, and yeah, we're gonna switch things up with this one. Let's get into it. For our next beat, I wanted to try and recreate my second favorite song on the album, New Magic Wand. This track is distorted, high energy, unique, and of course hard as concrete. This kind of vibe makes up the other side of Igor to me and was a must if I was going to cover this album. So without further ado, let's jump into this next beat. The most interesting part of this song to me is the repetitive and distorted synth bass that runs throughout the main chunk of the song. For my beat, I'm going to be using a bass sound I found in Anna 2. To replicate the sound from New Magic Wand, you need to use a sine wave bass and distort it heavily. I'm also adding this percussion loop I found on Splice, which gives the beat its high energy feel. Getting the drums created early is a must when making this style of beat, as this is where a lot of the magic comes from. I'm using a kick and snare you can find in my Forbidden Fruit drum kit, which I'm layering with more percussion and hi-hat groups I found on Splice. I decided with this beat I'm going to make it a lot closer to the original than the first beat I made, so I'm going to be creating the same melody as it is just too perfect and fits, yeah, it fits too well. Adding this vocal effect was super easy and close to the original. Simply voice note something crazy and then heavily distort and bit crush it to give it that wild sound. To switch up the drums for the verse section, I'm making the configuration a lot more aggressive to stand out more and let you know that it's getting crazy. To complete the drums, I chopped up this bongo percussion loop to try and get a similar sound heard in the original. It wouldn't be a Tyler the Creator song without some nice chords thrown in there. New Magic Wand features a really nice chord breakdown and beat switch between the two hard sections. So when I'm doing my version of that, I'm going to be using the same music theory formula as in the first beat. With this progression, I wanted the chords to start high and then gradually go down to sound like someone slowly giving up on something, which I think fits the atmosphere of the track very well. I'm using major 7th chords again and moving the root note down so it's in key, even if some of the other notes in the chord aren't, with a few exceptions of course. I found that when making these beats, if it sounds good, don't question it. To go along with these chords is a nice bass guitar sound I found in Anna 2. In this section you can hear a distorted synth one-shot sound repeating over and over, creating that suspense before our final drop hits, sort of like you hear in like the Jaws score and horror films. This sound is from the new circuit breaker library from Slate Digital. With the new skin, it looks and sounds amazing. My final touch for this sound is just panning it left to right to add another level of detail and movement. Working on our final drop now, I wanted to add a bass slide like you hear in the original, so we exported a chunk of the bass and automated it to do so. Using the 3x oscillator VST and FL Studio, my boy Link created this sub bass to layer with our aggressive synth bass to give it some more low end power. Finally, using this Moog one-shot sound, Link also created this intense, crazy melody that only comes in during this hyped up section. So we've finished our second beat now, and that one is based off of New Magic Wand. Unfortunately, I can't play you guys the song with Tyler's vocals on it because of copyright issues that I couldn't avoid, so you're going to have to hear just a little bit of the beat. But yeah, I'll check in with you guys in the outro. That is the Igor blueprint done. I really hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, then be sure to A, leave a like down below, and B, subscribe to this channel if you're not already. If you want to see more videos like this, you already know what to do. Turn on those post notifications. We post a video like this probably worst case every month, best case twice a month. We're doing our best out here, you know what I'm saying? A one-man band. So let me know what album and what artists I should cover next down in the comments. I'd love to see what you guys suggest. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great day. Peace.